So I got a new grill, installed it, aka Dodge style, mounted it directly to the bottom of the hood. I took the old grill and I was like, I wonder if I can make a piece to go to the bottom. So I trimmed it down. It was cracked beyond repair anyway. But this is what I ended up, and then I ended up breaking it, so I didn't get used.
Well, I always wanted a vehicle remote starter switch, so that 10 gauge wire runs down to the hot side of the starter, and all I have to do is hit it there and it'll crank. Already disconnected the battery charger and this battery's fucking shot. But look at the room. You don't have torque in there. That's the factory motor mount, factory headers. So those aren't the issue. It's that stupid knock sensor way down inside there gets in the way. Not a fan of these GM side posts, but I really like my custom battery tie down. This is a piece of .3/8 thick diamond plate. Bolted the bolt, put a big long nut. I like it. But I think I'm moving that part, the actual bracket, way back here behind that X bar so it sits on top of the frame rail. I decided that if it blows a tire, I don't want to have to risk the tire taking the battery out. I was thinking about building a sheet metal cover over it, but that's a really awkward angle to build. I'd rather have a tight sheet metal cover, just in case I decide to take it off-roading in the off-road autocrossing, rallycross, that's what it's called. I don't want mud up inside there when I turn, so I'm going to put a shield probably from about here somewhere all the way back to the firewall. It'll be removable, just like those bolts. I'm going to put a kill switch in it right there. And then the stock key will turn it on, but the start mechanism in the stock key sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. So I'm going to put a start switch in here somewhere in the console behind the shifter. I got the console done, or the tunnel done from here back. I got to make the console so when I do that, I'll put the start switch. I got one to be right in there somewhere on top of that. That way you can just, maybe you might have to come back here. That way if it stalls, you just hit the button down there. I always wanted a car with a remote start switch anyway. Look at that good quality. Brand new part. Haven't even driven this thing since I put it on. Alright, to go from way up there down the firewall, forward to the starter for the hot side, after the kill switch, I need 42 inches. Let's go check the back. This is the alternator wire that goes down to the starter. Once I put the remote kill up there, I can plug it up there. But to go from this side of the remote kill switch, down the firewall, underneath, down the floor pan. Boy, this phone sucks. It just decides to turn itself on and off at the whim. Piece of shit. So to go down the firewall, under the floor pan, or through there, down there somewhere, come out over there and head down to 4-pin at that edge, come up to the back and up. I need a 7-foot long battery cable. Ground, I could get away with a 6-foot cable going from back there down the firewall and hooking up to the frame right there where it currently is. This little sucker. I don't really need that jumper because I got a big jumper right there. That'll take care of all my grounding. Or I can just run the ground strap to the frame rail back there and then take one from the frame rail here and ground it to the engine somewhere. Transmission, whatever, one of those bolts down there would work. That way I don't have to get near the header. Yeah, 7 feet power cable and a 42-inch cable. So originally I was going to put the battery right here. I actually had the mount built and everything. Simple, start wire, ground wire. Simple, but with the tire being right here, it's going to kick up a lot of debris at it. Plus, if I plan on doing some autocrossing in the dirt, rallycross, so I figure if I hit something, or the tire kicked it up, it'd destroy the battery. I could shield it, but I want to put a shield here just to keep the mud out of there. But so there's a new battery. I moved the battery box back there. It is right there. I got it level. There's my battery cables. They're gonna go back behind, come down that little hole there, down the front, come out through a bulkhead connector in here somewhere, and then there'll be the ground, go up there for the original ground, and then I just got a loop of wire up the top following this existing cable down behind the header. So that's what I've been working on today. Got the battery installed, ran the 2 cables down the inside of there. Right now they're just looping out into there. There will be a bulkhead connector in there, but I still need to take this piece off and finish painting it. About right there will be the kill switch, and then this long loopy red cable here goes down to the starter hot switch. The key switch on the column doesn't always work, so I'm just going to permanently remove it and just put in a start button. I always wanted a car with a start button. It'll go somewhere right in there or there, something easy to get to, but you'll have to turn the kill switch on and then turn the key on, and then you can use the start button. That's it for tonight. Update time. Had my battery sitting there behind the front tire temporarily just to get the thing through running. Well, I decided I moved it back there. Ran the cables. They're going to go inside here, and they go through these bulkhead connectors I've found. Thanks, pudding. I moved a start-stop switch to there. So here's the business side of my kill switch. So there's where the cables comes out, the ground goes over, connects to the transmission right in that area. You can probably see it better than I can. Yep, you can see it there. And then I ordered 10 feet and I did not have any left on the hot side. I had maybe 3 feet left on the ground side. So switch off, runs down down to the starter. Technically, there's 3 wires there. I can move 2 of them up to there. They're just battery power. One's the start switch, but I am going to put in a remote start button. There we go. Joe's Racing Product start switch. I'm not using the ignition side. I could, but I'm not. I just want to push button start. No reason other than every now and then the key switch, when you turn to start, doesn't do anything. So to alleviate that problem, we're going with that. It'll go somewhere on the tunnel between those 2 posts, or maybe a little closer to the transmission, depends where I can reach it. So that's where I'm left off today. Oh, and just to show you what it does. All right, continue. So, kill switch is off. The right post should be dead because it's off. But battery voltage is clicking. I don't know why it's clicking. Cranks. Now, I think I had fuel pump issues again. It's a ground issue. The ground wire fell off the connector and I soldered it back on. I've been having issues with it since, so I may have to resolder it. But that's where we're at. Let's turn that kill switch off before I short that out again. So, done for today's updates. I'll have to put how about a bunch of those connectors in different sizes, and I'll have to put a bulkhead connector somewhere in here to run that wire here through, down to there, and then back up to there. I hope I got enough. I should have bought it from Amazon, but I bought it from O'Reilly's. It's a 10 gauge, so it's plenty big enough. Work on a cart today. That's the front section right there, the tunnel. Down there's that section. I already had the weld nuts on the loops put in. So today, you can see it right down there, I was drilling and installing those, 5 on each side, and plus I have to fix the center one back here, the outside when the bolts stripped on me. Sometimes those weld nuts threads aren't created correctly, but I still like them better than I do those other ones where you put them in and drill a hole oversized, put them in there and then squeeze on them. Whatever the heck those are called, zerk nuts, I think. So once I get that done, then that part of the tunnel gets to be done. I have some diamond plate. I could just turn it upside down so you don't see the diamond plate. It's probably about the same thickness as that. That's 1/8 inch thick. And then the emergency brake will go somewhere right there. It's back there in the bracket. Unfortunately, the bracket doesn't fit the emergency brake, so I'll have to go to the junkyard and get one. Here, the new bracket or new e-brake out of a Mark III DW. Emergency brakes out of a Passat. Got all my wiring for the battery relocation done. Up through there. Got the firewall switch done. Once I get the tunnel in, I then can put me in a remote start switch. I want it somewhere around the this area. That way I can just turn it on from there or start it from there. All right, I got my tunnel in. They are made from air rescue scuba tanks holders off the fire truck. They weren't long enough to do one piece, so I did it in two pieces. I put the back on top because, I don't know, because the back is actually higher than the middle, so it looks more level. Not completely level, but more level. I used 5/16 bolts with some weld nuts. I had quarter ones, but I didn't know if they were going to be strong enough because the center piece is going to hold the emergency brake. The front section I have to do yet will be made out of diamond plate. I'll have to have it bent, but I'll have to figure out how to do it because I got too much of a gap there. I don't want to have to fill, so I may put a piece of metal in there. But also there's the battery cable routing. Battery is in the rear now instead of in front of there where it used to sit. Even though I clamped those down, I did the middle section first, clamped it down as tight as I could get it with big old clamps. Then I drilled the 3 holes down there, and on the other side with it clamped down, and they were perfectly aligned when I took it off. Then I had marked the those 4 holes and those 4 holes with a nib marker, and then drilled them out. And I drilled them with 5/16 because I drilled those with it on here to keep them lined up. It still wasn't lined up. It took me longer to put that on than it did to put it on and drill the holes to put it on permanently. And that bolt there, that bolt's stuck. I can't get it out with vice grip, so if I ever remove that, I'll have to cut that bolt off, then cut off the weld nut, and then put a new weld nut on for it. That'll suck. But those are stainless steel fasteners. After I got all done, I found some zinc ones. Figures. But I put those in there because it's in the center of the car. Even though it doesn't get a lot of moisture, we'll get some. And I really don't see a reason to ever take that out, considering the transmission will drop out and pull from the front. With that cover removed, I have access to all the transmission bolts. That was by purpose. I also have access to clutch piece, that rusty thing down there. Yeah, that's brand new. So the only thing stopping me from driving it is I think I don't have ground to my fuel pump again back there under that blue bag. I've had an on and off issue with that for 6 months. Either it won't crank and the fuel pump works, or it cranks and the fuel pump doesn't work. So that piece there is going to be my exhaust shield. So it'll go on top of the exhaust right there underneath the battery to help redirect any heat away from the battery. That piece is 1/8" thick stainless steel. Should be pretty good doing that. Nothing else needed shielding. And as far as exhaust goes, I got to put one mount back there. I got to find a piece that bolts to those bolts right there. Coming along.